Ya, selamat pagi, good morning everyone in Indonesia, and good afternoon to everyone in Australia. Thank you for joining us today for the official launch of the Indonesia-Australia Skills Exchange Platform. My name is Dara Anelsha, Skills Project Officer for Katalis. Katalis, as you may know, is an Australian and Indonesian government program that aims to strengthen economic ties between two countries by promoting trade, investment, market access, and skills development. On the skills front, that's an area where my colleagues and co-host John here can share more about.
Hi everyone, John Strain here, Business Contract Manager for Katalis. The Indonesia-Australia Skills Exchange platform is an exciting project that we've been developing for a while now. It has brought together 50 Australian training providers, offering 335 courses, attracting 126 Indonesian companies on board, and 50 Australian training providers. Thanks.
Yeah, that's super exciting. I'm sure our audience is equally thrilled about the platform, the first in Indonesia-Australia skills space. But hold your horse. Do get your question and comments ready. We encourage you to use the chat box throughout this webinar, which will be incorporated into the Q&A session. For the translation services and other queries, please also use the chat box. Today's session is being live streamed and recorded and will be available on the Katalis website and YouTube.
Let's get started with the first item on the agenda. That is opening remarks by Paul Bartlett, the Director of Katalis. Over to you, Paul.
Hello, good morning, everybody. Selamat pagi. Yang terhormat Ibu Yuke, Director of Manpower Kementerian Bappenas, and Pak Simon Anderson from DFAT at the Australian Embassy. Selamat pagi, Bapak Ibu, para hadirin yang terhormat. Apa kabar? Semoga selalu sehat, semoga selalu semangat. Saya Paul Bartlett, Director Katalis. Please allow me to continue in English. I'm pleased to join you here today for the launch of the Indonesia-Australia Exchange Platform. This moment is a testament to the power of collaboration between Indonesia and Australia in unlocking economic opportunity through skills development and knowledge exchange. At Katalis, our mission is to drive trade and investment between our two countries by identifying opportunities that bring together our complementary strengths. The Indonesia-Australia Skills Exchange platform exemplifies this approach, creating a dynamic space where Indonesian businesses can articulate their training needs and Australian training providers can showcase their expertise. Since the inception of this initiative, we have worked closely with industry stakeholders to ensure that the platform meets the needs of both Indonesian businesses and Australian training providers. With 52 registered training organizations already onboarded and 126 Indonesian businesses already onboarded, we are confident that the Indonesian-Australian Skills Exchange will serve as a valuable tool for fostering meaningful commercial skills partnerships. We extend our gratitude to the Australian and Indonesian governments, our industry partners, and everyone who has contributed to making this launch possible. We encourage businesses and training providers to explore and utilize this platform to its fullest potential. Thank you, and we look forward to seeing the Indonesia-Australia Skills Exchange flourish and act as a catalyst for skills exchange and economic growth for the two countries. And with that, I wish you all a productive discussion this morning. Thank you.
Education providers and Indonesian businesses, both for training in Indonesia and Australia. Now there is an easy way to connect with Australian education providers. It's the Indonesia-Australia Skills Exchange platform.
Hai Mbak Gladys.
Hai Mbak.
Apa kabar Mbak?
Baik, apa kabar?
Baik juga. Have a nice day ya Mbak.
Yeah, you too.
Jump onto IA-skills.org and see hundreds of courses by renowned Australian education providers. It's simple and straightforward. Everything is right there on the platform.
Should I take this to the meeting room?
Yeah, great.
For Indonesian businesses looking for training, there's a wide range of categories according to industry. There are different types of training, including micro-credentials, short courses, or other qualifications. Then, there are options for delivery methods that can suit your business, like virtual, in-person, or a mix of online and in-person training in Indonesia. You can also choose your preferred language, whether in Indonesian or English.
And boom, there it is. There's a couple of training providers offering this type of courses. After you select your course, the training provider will be in touch and you can discuss in detail about the training delivery.
If you haven't found the right course for you, you can request for a course to be designed for your business. The education providers will see it and may respond by sending a proposal or quote. You can then contact them directly. We have over 50 trusted Australian providers featured on the platform. These providers are some of the best vocational training organisations and universities in Australia, all with interest in delivering training in Indonesia.
TAFE Queensland are excited to be part of the Indonesia-Australia Skills Exchange Platform, or IA-skills.org. It's a great initiative that connects TAFE Queensland and other institutions with Indonesian businesses, making it easier to access high-level training. This platform is a game changer, helping us build strong partnerships and opening doors to incredible training opportunities in Indonesia.
We've been working in Indonesia for more than 20 years, and most recently we've been collaborating with Katalis on some online micro-credentials and short courses to assist with skills development. We're really excited about the launch of the IA Skills Exchange and look forward to making new friends across the Indonesian archipelago. We'll see you there.
Join us today!
Thanks, Paul. Where do you get those actors from? Berikutnya, mari kita sambut Ibu Nur Higiawati Rahayu, the Director of Manpower at Bapanas.
Terima kasih. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Yang saya hormati Bapak Simon Anderson, selaku Counselor of Economic Trade and Investment of Australian Embassy. Yang saya hormati juga Bapak Paul Bartlett, selaku Direktur Program Katalis. Dan juga selamat pagi pada Bapak Ibu yang berada di Indonesia. Tadi selamat siang, good afternoon for our participants from Australia. Para hadirin yang terhormat, saat ini Indonesia tengah menghadapi berbagai tantangan dalam pembangunan sumber daya manusia, khususnya dalam bidang keterampilan dan ketenagakerjaan. Berdasarkan data BPS tahun 2024, tingkat pengangguran terbuka atau TPT untuk lulusan perguruan tinggi Indonesia masih cukup tinggi. Ini mencapai 5,18%. Selain itu, 8,3% lulusan perguruan tinggi masih bekerja di bidang keahlian yang rendah, yang menunjukkan adanya ketidaksesuaian antara keterampilan tenaga kerja dengan kebutuhan industri. Tentu saja dalam menghadapi tantangan ini, pemerintah tidak tinggal diam ya. Beberapa kebijakan telah dilakukan, dan salah satunya melalui kolaborasi dalam pendidikan dan pelatihan vokasi, serta peningkatan produktivitas tenaga kerja untuk meningkatkan daya saing bangsa. Oleh karena itu, sebenarnya kerjasama antara pemerintah Indonesia dan pemerintah Australia telah lama kita jalankan ya, dan kita terus tingkatkan karena kita mendapatkan benefit atau manfaat ya yang kita rasakan secara bersama. Dan salah satunya ini melalui program Katalis. yang pada hari ini kita akan meluncurkan platform Indonesia-Australia Skill Exchange. Ini sebuah langkah maju yang sangat signifikan yang menurut kami dalam memperkuat kapabilitas sumber daya manusia tenaga kerja kita di Indonesia dan bisa meningkatkan daya saing Indonesia di tingkat global. Program Katalis ini juga di bawah IA-CEPA yang menjadi pilar utama dalam kemitraan Indonesia kita dengan Australia. Tentu saja menghadirkan peluang perdagangan dan investasi baru yang menguntungkan kedua negara. Hari ini kita menandai pencapaian penting lainnya dalam kolaborasi kita dengan meluncurkan platform IAC ini, yang akan memungkinkan pelaku usaha di Indonesia mengakses pelatihan keterampilan yang disesuaikan dari penyedia terkemuka Australia, yang tentu saja kualitasnya kita bisa dapatkan. Ya. Bapak Ibu yang saya hormati, dalam perspektif perencanaan jangka panjang, pemerintah Indonesia telah menetapkan sasaran besar dalam Undang-Undang Nomor 59 Tahun 2024 tentang Rencana Pembangunan Jangka Panjang Nasional atau RPJPN untuk kurun waktu 2025-2045 yang bertujuan menjadikan Indonesia sebagai negara berpendapatan tinggi atau kita sebut juga Indonesia Emas 2045. Pencapaian ini tentu saja perlu diwujudkan melalui kerja keras dalam berbagai bidang, termasuk pembangunan sumber daya manusia, yang merupakan modal penting untuk meningkatkan produktivitas tenaga kerja. Pada saat ini pun telah diterbitkan Perpres nomor 12 tahun 2025 tentang Rencana Pembangunan Jangka Menengah Nasional RPJMN untuk kurun waktu 2025 hingga 2029. Dalam RPJM ini tentu saja pembangunan sumber daya manusia ditempatkan sebagai salah satu prioritas nasional yang kita juga ingin nanti di bidang sains, teknologi, gitu ya, pendidikan, kesehatan dan seluruhnya, termasuk juga kita tetap memperhatikan kesetaraan gender, penguatan peran perempuan, pemuda dan penyandang disabilitas sebagai prioritas nasional. Nah, di sini tentu saja didukung dengan penguatan pendidikan dan pelatihan vokasi dan produktivitas tenaga kerja. Tentu saja pemerintah terus berkomitmen dalam menciptakan tenaga kerja yang berkualitas dan sesuai dengan kebutuhan industri, termasuk melalui inisiatif seperti Indonesia-Australia Skill Exchange. Dengan adanya platform ini, tentu kita berharap dapat mendukung percepatan penciptaan tenaga kerja yang produktif, inovatif, dan berdaya saing tinggi di tingkat nasional maupun internasional. Platform ini kami harapkan dapat berkontribusi terhadap pencapaian target pembangunan, di antaranya ya lulusan pendidikan vokasi yang kemudian bisa bekerja 1 tahun setelah lulusan, dan juga lulusan yang pelatihan vokasi bisa langsung bekerja ataupun juga berwirausaha. Juga kita ingin meningkatkan proporsi pekerja yang bekerja di bidang dengan keterampilan menengah dan tinggi. Tentu saja akhirnya kita juga ingin meningkatkan produktivitas tenaga kerja dan menurunkan tingkat pengangguran terbuka. Pada tahun 2029 kita ingin TPT ini sekitar antara range 4-4,71%. Melalui pembekalan tenaga kerja kita dengan keterampilan dan keahlian yang diperlukan, kita tidak hanya memberdayakan dunia usaha, tapi juga mendorong ekonomi yang inklusif dan tangguh. Kami tentu saja mengapresiasi upaya semua pihak, sini dari pihak Australia maupun dari pihak Indonesia yang terlibat dalam inisiatif ini dan menantikan kesuksesan platform IAC ini sebagai jembatan untuk memperkuat hubungan komersial dan juga pendidikan antara pemerintah Indonesia dan Australia. Demikian Bapak Ibu yang kami sampaikan. Sekali lagi semoga dengan ini menjadi langkah ke depan yang lebih baik juga bagi kita semua. Jadi, terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Terima kasih atas sambutannya Ibu Nur Higiawati Rahayu atau Ibu Yuke selaku Direktur Ketenagakerjaan Kementerian Bappenas. And next, on behalf of the Australian government, Simon Anderson, as Counselor of Economic Trade and Investment at the Australian Embassy in Jakarta, will now deliver short remarks. Please welcome Simon Anderson.
Terima kasih. Terima kasih, Mbak. Dan selamat pagi teman-teman di Indonesia. Selamat siang teman-teman di Australia. Firstly, I'd like to acknowledge Paul Bartlett, the Director of Katalis, and of course Ibu Nur, the Director of Manpower and Bapanas. It is my pleasure to join you here today for the official launch of the Indonesia-Australia Skills Exchange. This initiative really embodies the spirit of collaboration that underpins the great partnership between Indonesia and Australia. Since its establishment in 2020, the IA-CEPA Economic Cooperation Program, or Katalis, has been working to forge greater business-to-business links to strengthen our economic ties, and in doing that, create new opportunities for partnership. A central pillar of Katalis is the Skills for Recovery area, which looks to strengthen opportunities for upskilling the Indonesian workforce by connecting industry with Australian education providers, assisting Indonesia in its mission to develop more highly skilled human resources. A key activity in this pillar has been the development of the Indonesia-Australia Skills Exchange platform, which is being officially launched today. This platform represents a milestone in our shared path towards maximising the benefits of IA-CEPA through efforts to foster skills development, promote innovation, and enhance the exchange of knowledge between Australia and Indonesia. Through the Indonesia-Australia Skills Exchange, Indonesian businesses can easily connect with Australian registered training organisations, facilitating access to world-class training and upskilling opportunities. By investing in human capital, we are laying the foundations for sustainable economic growth, industry resilience, and stronger bilateral partnerships. Australia remains committed to working closely with our Indonesian counterparts to ensure the continued success of IA-CEPA and initiatives such as this platform, the Indonesia-Australia Skills Exchange. We look forward to seeing positive aspects of this platform that we'll see on business, employees, and the broader economy. I want to thank Katalis for all of their work to build this platform, and especially for the opportunity to join you all this morning on this very slick presentation. Congratulations to all involved in making this program a reality, and best of luck with the rest of the launch. Thank you.
Thanks, Simon. And now, what we've all been waiting for, Clarice Campbell, our Skills Lead Advisor, will walk us through the platform.
First, we'd like to invite you to go on your browser and type IA-CEPA.org. And for the next step, over to you, Clarice.
Good morning, everyone in Indonesia, and good afternoon to those of you in Australia. The IA-skills.org platform will be shown on the Zoom here. So this is something that we've been working on for a very long time, basically since the beginning of Katalis. And here we have the homepage where you can see the general overview of what is actually advertised on the platform. We have popular courses, recent courses, the sign up section and login area. And we've tried to design this in a way that's very easy to understand and explains why we have the skills exchange in the first place. Next, we have our process for if you were an Indonesian business and how you would sign up. So it's a very straightforward process. You just put in your login details, verify your email, selecting your account type and things like that. Once you get that verification email, you can progress to the completing your profile section of the page. So you would input your email and your password, very similar to how you would sign up to any kind of social media account. Here you would fill in further details such as your legal entity name, more information about your business type. And then from there, you can click either back to the home page or further into your profile to complete that. So next we have the area where we're explaining the types of different training courses. So you obviously have the summary of all of the different training courses available on the site. But if, for example, you wanted to explore something a bit more specific to your business, so for example, digital, any course that's advertised either with the keyword digital in the title or in the description of that course will show up. So here we have Data Security Essentials from TAFE Queensland showing on the slide first. So it obviously provides an overview of what TAFE Queensland's advertising in this particular course type. And also some relevant information on the side. Now, this one doesn't have a price on it on the side, but that's because you would be able to actually contact the provider to determine, how long you want that course to be. So similarly, if we search for something in a different area, so for example, tourism, we can obviously set an alert as well down the bottom for something that is relevant to your business. But if we go through to a different course, so this one's working in sustainable tourism and it's designed by UNEP Partnerships, this one actually shows that it does have a price. So you can kind of already have a bit of an estimate of, okay, it's a micro-credential, it's online and self-paced, it's virtual. So now I'm kind of interested in this and I want to submit an inquiry. So here you would fill in the details for, actually contacting UNEP to say that you're interested. You would indicate the number of employees from your business who are interested in actually participating in this course. So for this example, we have 20 employees, 10 of those employees are female and 2 of them have a disability. We want this to be delivered in Indonesian. We are putting in the estimated start date of when you want your employees to actually start this course, and all of your contact information. So in this example, using my contact details. So we've submitted that inquiry and that goes through to UNEP in the back end. So here is a summary of the inquiry that we have sent through to UNEP so that you know what you have actually submitted. So Ben Gilmore from UNEP, who you'll be listening to later, he will receive that inquiry and then he will be able to write back to you afterwards. So here we have further information about the course content and all additional details related to this particular course. Now, if, for example, you have a particular provider in mind, or you would just like to see the different kinds of providers who are advertised on the site, you can also do that very similarly to how you would view training courses. So here we have the summary of the different providers. And we're going to click through to one. So we have Phoenix Australia on the screen here. So you can see the summary and see the types of courses that they're offering, the area that they're working in, and the number of course offerings that they actually have advertised on the platform, as well as all of their relevant information, such as like their website. So you can, explore them further, or their social media and things like that. So say, for example, you've finished browsing and or you might know of a particular provider and you go, oh, I've worked with TAFE South Australia before, or I've heard of them, I'd like to inquire further. You can also look them up on the site. So you can see, again, what they're offering and the different course areas that they're delivering in, as well as their relevant provider details. So you can contact them directly, or if, for example, you want to contact the Katalis team, you can do that through the Contact Us page here that you can see. And you can also adjust your training alerts that you might have set earlier. So again, we used that example earlier of tourism. Here we have one in relation to waste management. So of course, this depends on your area that you're working in for your business. So next, we want to show you what the provider registration looks like. So if you are an Australian registered training organisation, again, this is very similar. You would make your profile, you agree to the terms and conditions, the same as what an Indonesian business would do, all very straightforward. Again, you would verify your email. So slightly different to an Indonesian business, we actually look at the providers who come through on the back end from Katalis. So we approve those because we want to know whether you're interested in actually delivering courses in Indonesia. So note that this platform is for delivery of courses in Indonesia and not necessarily for, say, recruiting international students to come down to Australia. So you would fill in your profile again, and once you've completed all of the profile details, you can start uploading courses. So you can tell people the different kind of courses that you are interested in advertising. And you can be very specific, or you can say that there are lots of different courses that you might want to be delivering. Select whether they can be delivered in English or Indonesian, and then you can publish them to the site. So here we have an example of that. We provided the course summary, whether it can be delivered, in Indonesian, ideally like how many students would be doing this course, so on and so forth. So budget information as well, if you would like to do that. And here we have an example of submitting an inquiry in relation to that. So you can see, again, that you would agree to be contacted by the provider who's delivering that. So that is the summary. I know it was very quick, and there's lots of different functions and features on this platform, but hopefully that gives you a flavor of what we have designed this platform to do for you. So we're looking forward to discussing this more in the panel session. And of course, you can contact Katalis at any time or comment in the chat box, and we will get back to you as soon as possible. So thank you so much.
Yeah, that was a neat presentation. Thanks, Clarice. It also brings us to the much-awaited panel discussion, which will delve into ways this new platform can support human resource development in Indonesia. Feel free to ask questions to our panel through the Q&A box. If you have questions for Katalis about the skill exchange, you can also put this in the chat, and we will respond to you after this webinar.
Let's call our moderator, Ibu Eka Wahyuni, the Deputy Executive Director of the Indonesia Services Dialogue. Ibu Eka will be joined by some very distinguished speakers from the panel. Firstly, Ibu Clarissa Wahyu, Assistant Vice President of Culture and Engagement at Blibli. Han Xiao Zhang, the Education Counsellor at the Australian Embassy. And Ben Gilmore, CEO of the University of New England Partnerships in Australia. But first, we'd like to take a photo of our panelists. Also with Bu Yuka, Simon, and Paul, please. 1, 2, 3. And just one more photo for good luck, please. 1, 2, cheese. Okay, thanks everybody. Now let's move on to the panel discussion.
Thank you, John, for the great introductions. Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here with us today. My name is Eka Wahyuni from Indonesia Service Dialogue, ISD Council for short. I will be moderating the panel discussion in the launch of the Indonesia-Australia Skill Exchange. We in ISD have been participating and being part of the platform development that has been led by Katalis in 2022, and we are so happy to see it is officially launched today. Just to give a background, if you look at Indonesia workforce, it shows a large population, young demographic, and ongoing economic transformation. The size is around 140 million population, with 30 years of median age and a growing number of Gen Z and millennials entering the job market. It sounds promising. However, 60% of the workers are still in the informal sector, which means their lack of job security and benefits, and the skill gap in supply and demands reflects a mismatch between education and industry needs. With the technology and emergence of AI that now threatening low-skill jobs, reskilling and upskilling could be more important. And that is why we are here today with our distinguished speakers in the panel that I'm going to introduce to you shortly. First, we have Ben Gilmore, the CEO of UNE Partnership. Let me read some of the short bio here. Ben is an accomplished education executive and learning technologist with over 20 years of experience driving innovation, strategy, and transformation in the education sector. As the CEO of UNE Partnership, he has led a significant organizational turnaround, placing students at the center of educational design and delivery. Ben's expertise spans marketing, learning design, technology integrations, and strategic leadership. And he is deeply passionate about creating impactful learning experience. Hello, Ben. Good morning. Second, we have Clarissa Wahyu, Assistant Vice President for Culture and Engagement at Blibli.com. Blibli, established in 2011, one of the pioneers of Indonesia e-commerce, committed to empower Indonesia economic and business sector through an integrated omnichannel ecosystem for a sustainable lifestyle. With years of experience there, Clarissa brings her strong skill set that includes recruiting, HR information system, HR consulting, talent management, organizational development, and many more. And the third panelist, we have Han Xiao Zhang, the education counselor at Australian Embassy in Jakarta. Han has diverse background across government and the private sector. He held key roles at the Department of Education, Skill and Employment, shaping job-ready graduates reform, facilitating amendments to school education legislation, and leading national early childhood education reform. Before that, he was part of Deloitte, that provide risk management, business transformation, and internal audit services for clients in government, higher education, and financial service. Hello, Ibu Clarissa, or Mbak Clarissa, also Han and Ben. Nice to see all of you. Welcome to the panel session for the launch of the Indonesia-Australia Skill Exchange. We will open the floors to the audience to participate in the discussion. Bapak Ibu, please write your question in the chat box by stating your name, institutions, and who you are addressing the questions to, if it is specific. Otherwise, just leave it open and all the three panelists can give answer. But as a start, let me go with one round of questions to our panelists, and later we will visit the chat box for Q&A from the floors. I will start with Clarissa as the private sector. Based on your experience managing the workforce at Blibli.com, what are some of the pressing skill gaps that you see in years of experience managing the recruiting and also the talent development in the company, and how Blibli strategize to overcome if there is a gap? Over to you.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Rebecca, for the questions. Yeah, Blibli has grown a lot in the past 14 years from a small team of around 40 employees to more than 1,800 today. We started as an e-commerce company and have now become a full commerce ecosystem serving both businesses and customers online and offline. As we grow, we also face new challenges, right? And especially in developing our workforce. From my experience around this 13 years managing people at Blibli, there are two main skill gaps that we see in the younger workforce. One is interpersonal skill, and second is cognitive skill. At interpersonal skill, many young professionals struggles with teamwork, leadership, and communications. Today's workplace requires people to work across stream, right? Negotiate and build good professional relationship. However, because of digital communication, face-to-face interaction has decreases, right? Making it harder for them to develop important skill like empathy, active listening, and conflict resolution. And second is the cognitive skill, being able to analyze information, solve problems, but many fresh graduates find these skills is challenging for them. One reason is the universities focus more on theory rather than practical problem solving and decision making. Also, skills like reading literacy and data literacy, understanding using information correctly, are becoming more important today, especially in an industry that relies on digital transformation like us in Blibli. So what we are doing right now is we are focused in how the people and the talent is the upskilling the skill, especially on the learning about the data analysis, also about the AI, because for now we also focus in the AI and transformation.
Thank you, Clarissa. It's interesting to find out exactly from the private sector that most of the gaps is actually coming from the soft skill, if we call that, right? It's in the personal and cognitive, and company cannot do anything besides doing the upskilling internally, right? Okay, thank you for the answer. I will go to Ben as our second panelist here. We see that UNE partnership offer quite a wide range of online courses in Indonesia-Australia Skill Exchange. Can you please elaborate behind your business decision to provide such a wide range of online courses through the platform? Go ahead, Ben.
Thank you, Ibu Eka. I think the short answer is that we think we've got something to offer. And as one of more than 50 training providers already registered on the platform, we're clearly in good company. From our perspective, we've been working with industry partners to design and deliver really highly tailored training for nearly 40 years. And our parent organisation, the University of New England, has been in Indonesia, been active in Indonesia for several decades. So we like to think that the combination of this enduring presence in Indonesia and our preference for partnering with industry and with employers makes us particularly well suited to providing services through the exchange. I think our products probably differ a little bit from some of our peers. We've listed a sample of courses across a few different market segments, but we're really interested in connecting with industry, with employers through the exchange. We'd really like to use this as a channel to understand what Indonesian business needs and to make sure that we build products that are really, authentic and fit for purpose. So we're really hoping that the Indonesia Skill Exchange can open up some new conversations, and I'm sure many of the 50 other training providers on the platform are thinking exactly the same thing.
Thank you. Can I have one follow-up questions on that, because you mentioned that your product is different to other similar providers. Do you see that some key feature is actually require some adaptability to ensure that it can be used across Indonesia?
Yeah, I think it really depends on the scale of the intended program. So if we were going to make a short course available to 2 or 3 learners that just need to learn about project management really quickly, then it wouldn't make sense for anyone to invest a great deal of time and effort in tailoring that program design, that program delivery. But as soon as I think you start talking with industries or organizations that have potentially a larger workforce that have similar skills needs, then it would absolutely make sense to start looking at how can we tailor this learning to make sure that it has the greatest impact when it is delivered in the Indonesian context.
Okay, I see. So we see first, we identify first the impact that we want to achieve, and let's see how we can tailor the courses in a way.
Absolutely.
Okay, yep. Thank you. Thank you, Ben. Third panelist, we have Han here. Han, I think you can give us some more macro views. More and more Australian training organizations and educational institutions are now offering online courses. First, I want to know your view, how this changing landscape is actually affecting the traditional education industries, and how do you think they can cope with the shifting trends?
Yeah, thanks, Ika, for the question. I think there's always been a bit of a gap between supply and demand in terms of, online courses and the take-up from students. In Indonesia, and actually right across the world, COVID obviously played a pretty important role in terms of resetting our perspectives on education, whether it's face-to-face, hybrid, or online. But it did provide the platform for, I guess, accelerated digitalization of education, which is a fantastic platform. But now we're 5 years down the track, and I think the trend in Indonesia is that there's strong preference for the students to still undertake face-to-face study. And perhaps that's a reflection of the cultural norms in Indonesia. In Australia, there's been, I guess, a stronger take-up and adoption of online education. And I think in part helped by the strength of the, I guess, online education system offered by our education and training institutes. I think Ben previously made a pretty good example in terms of our Australian training providers often would work with industry. And in fact, our regulator requires the training providers to engage with industry in developing training packages. So the education and training offered by our vet providers are often, linked to industry needs, linked to, I guess, skills that are relevant for employment. And what we really need is a training package that's relevant for, I guess, learner preferences as well. But I think there are a few other things that can be considered in terms of greater adoption of online education. One's obviously affordability. I think the learners expect online education to be a little bit cheaper than traditional ways of education. But the reality is there is that infrastructure requirement to set up a quality online education experience. But I think there needs to be some kind of a middle ground in terms of that affordability thing for the students. Secondly, I think recognition is important. I think, if industry and employers are readily and able to recognize online education as equivalent to traditional ways of education, then I think that's a great win for the learners. And then lastly, everything takes time. So I think a staged approach in terms of great adoption of online education is needed in Indonesia. It'd be great if we can start introducing hybrid forms of learning where, you can have certain components of a program delivered through an online forum and then some other parts delivered through your traditional ways of education. But I think it's a bit of a staged process. And I think, Australian institutions are certainly quite advanced in terms of online education. And we can see that we've got, 50 odd providers on this skills exchange platform. But yeah, there is certainly a ways to go in terms of, trying to elevate the demand from the Indonesian side.
Thank you, Han. I think it's quite sum up the important key points. I think number one, you say that recognition is need to be considered. Is agree because both parties here, the traditional sector and as well as the online providers, they have to know that this is the time that both can coexist, right? And the second one is the affordability, of course. It's always come the top of mind consideration from the participants and the market. And the third one is the time or staging approach. That's obviously important considering Indonesia is very large geographically in population and also like socially we have a very diverse. So it's pretty much capture the strategy that have to be in place. So let's go to the audience. I have my first round of questions. Let's see if we have some Q&A here. Okay. Let me open from Felicity. How do the commercial works? Does the learning provider pay to be on the skill exchange platform? Does the business leader buying the course? Okay, so I think this is for Ben and Clarissa, representing the provider and the business. Go ahead. Oh, sorry.
Maybe Ben want to answer first.
Ben, can you hear us?
Sorry, was that me? I thought you were waiting for Dan. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead, Ben. As a
So
provider, but perhaps you can share about the process, how you can actually like include it in the platform.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, the process has been simple and seamless. I think the most challenging aspect to listing our courses was determining which of our courses we thought what might be suited to publication on this platform, and then really just working with some of our colleagues that have a more active presence in the Indonesian market to make sure that we were putting forward again appropriate content. So there was no cost involved. We had to set up a profile. Once we hit the big green submit button, we had to wait a couple of days while the IA Skills Exchange team verified our profile and made sure that we were a real RTO, made sure that we weren't under investigation for anything nefarious, and then we got permission to start adding our courses. It was pretty simple and no cost involved.
Okay, thank you, Ben. And the one for business, Clarissa, perhaps you can share if you, from the point of view.
Yeah, in Blibli, we do utilize both internal training and external training with partners also. Hearing from Ben on how easy it is to utilize IEC, we are more than happy to explore more the opportunity to utilize IEC in Blibli too.
Thank you. Thank you, Clarissa and Ben. And we have another question here from Maria to Ben. What courses or subjects do you think are important or relevant to offer in the Indonesian market?
Thank you. And I guess that's the question that brings us all here together today, right? Yeah, and there are two ways to look at the question. One is I think that Indonesia is facing, in some respects, very similar skills challenges to Australia and to the rest of the developing world. Right, we've got a pretty cool worldwide shortage of healthcare skills. I know Indonesia fares better than some other countries in some areas of healthcare provision. Cybersecurity is moving so quickly. AI, electronics, renewable energy, industrial automation. I think these are probably all the same buzzwords in education circles in most countries around the world. But these are really, I guess, headline skills categories, and the whole purpose for IA-Skills is, again, so we can engage in a really meaningful conversation with Indonesian industry and with Indonesian employers, so we can, I guess, peel the next layer of the onion and talk about, hey, well, renewable energy is really important to you. Can you tell us exactly what it is about renewable energy that you'd like to learn about?
Okay, thank you, Ben. Second, we have from our audience, Tuhan. What are some leading qualities that learners can expect from Australian education or training providers?
Yeah, thanks, Eka. I mean, this is a topic that I love talking about, mainly because we do have a world-leading education and training system. I mean, you can probably look at it a few different ways. We've got the higher education sector and, of course, the skills sector. And in fact, a lot of our universities also deliver, executive education and skills training as well. But, in terms of qualities, is that, our system is underpinned by a very strong regulatory framework. Our regulators, of course, has a whole bunch of standard requirements for education institutions, and the academic rigor that's required to, have each course offered to the student is quite a long process, but it's also a very detailed process to ensure that student learning experience is very positive. And for us, there isn't any kind of differentiation between, education delivered to international students or domestic students, whether it's delivered in Australia or whether it's delivered offshore. So from that perspective, what you expect is a uniform, high quality education learning experience. And it'd be very remiss of me to not talk about the Australian universities that are actually setting up in Indonesia as well, which I think provides a platform to enable some Indonesians to access Australian quality education offshore here, right at home. In fact, I just got back from Bandung yesterday. We were there for the launch of Deakin University's Bandung campus. So for them, they'll be offering, 5 undergrad programs in business and IT. And the qualifications that will be offered there would be the exact same as you would expect to experience in Australia, but of course at half the cost and be right at home for the Indonesian learners. I can perhaps talk a little bit about the vet sector as well. I think, again, we have a world-leading and I think quite unique vet system. For us, the vet system is very large. In fact, it's multitudes larger than our higher education system in terms of students and learners that go through the system. But of course, it's at a different qualification level. But I think what's most unique and most compelling is the fact that all our, accredited training systems are linked and supported by industry. So you can be assured that whatever capabilities and whatever skills you actually get from going through a vet system learning experience is relevant for employment. And I think at the end of the day, what learners are looking for is real life practical skills that'll provide the platform to get into the labour market. And I think all learners are looking for the labour market return. And, you know, our vet system in Australia is churning out individuals, placing them in occupations that are perhaps just as competitive, if not more, than university graduates. So for us, it's really about a holistic tertiary education system experience. And, you know, we're very happy to have institutions like UNA, you know, delivering higher education programs as well as vocational programs. But they are one of several Australian universities that do both. So yeah, we're very proud of our system. We can certainly talk a little bit more, but I don't want to take up any more space or airtime just on this topic.
Thank you, Han. So let's see if any more questions that waiting.
Hi, Eka, I think there's some questions for me.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. It's Therese from Katalis here. So we actually have some questions directed to the Katalis team. So I'll just jump in to answer these. So the first one is from Tim Gilbert, who's from Melbourne Polytechnic. Hey, Tim. And he's asking, are we going to see Indonesian education institutions register, or is this still industry bodies / companies only? Really great question. So essentially the Skills Exchange platform has been set up so that we're connecting Australian registered training organizations with businesses in Indonesia. So what we're really looking for on the Indonesian side is if a business is looking for training or they have a training need, for them to register on the platform so that they can search through either available courses that are already advertised or to connect with a provider who might be able to assist them in some way. Certainly, there is always a need for Indonesian education institutions to connect with international partners, and we actually get requests about that all the time. But our focus is really upskilling the Indonesian workforce, and that was the mandate for the skills area within Katalis from the beginning, noting that skills development for the Indonesian workforce is a huge priority of the Indonesian government. I mean, the statistics always fly around in terms of how many skilled workers Indonesia needs, you know, by certain years and in certain sectors in order to ensure that Indonesia continues its, you know, development and growth into the future. So really this platform has been designed for that area, but certainly, you know, if there are Indonesian education providers who would be willing to connect with Australian education providers, they can certainly contact Katalis. And in the future, we may adjust, you know, the platform to sort of explore that in more detail. But certainly the platform is really for Australian education providers to connect with these businesses who have been essentially, you know, yelling from the rooftop to say we have some skills shortages or skills needs, but we don't know who to contact. And we know that Australia has really great education offerings, and many Indonesians obviously travel down to Australia to undertake either TVET or higher education degrees. But we're really looking for that gap to be filled where some training can be conducted in Indonesia or online. And that's what this platform is for. So I hope that answers your question. And we have an anonymous question also directed at myself, and that is, how about the requirement for Indonesia? So I think this was sort of answered in what I said to Tim. We're really looking to connect with Indonesian businesses who have a skills need. Many Indonesian businesses have come to myself and my team and the whole Katalis team to say that they would like to do training of some kind, and they would like to connect with an Australian training organisation, but don't know where to start or don't know where to find any information. And this is what this platform has really been designed for. So if you're a business and you have some staff skilling needs in any kind of area really, this is really the platform for you. So you can create your profile, you can explain what your training needs are, and it could really be in anything. You could say that I want some English language training for my staff, or I need some leadership training, or it could be in a much more technical and specific area. So we have one project where we're connecting with a mining services company and they're doing some electrotechnology training. So it's really dependent on your skills need. But we're really looking to connect with Indonesian businesses. So hopefully that answers the anonymous attendee question. So I'll hand back. Oh, we have one more for me, sorry. Izin mengkonfirmasi berarti platform Indonesia-Australia Skills Exchange hanya mengakomodir perusahaan. So yes, it's not for individuals. It's really only for businesses. So if you are an individual person who's looking for some training, we actually have a separate activity where we have designed some what we call micro credentials. So you can go onto some of our partner organization platforms. So we're working with Traveloka, Pintar, and Bino Center, and they have some individual customized micro credentials that have been designed by over 10 Australian registered training organizations. And you can enroll in them as an individual. They are publicly available. We can put the link in the chat for you. But in terms of the actual Indonesia-Australia Skills Exchange platform, this is really for corporate training or training for a business. So this is training at a larger scale. And so that's what this platform has been designed for. So I'll leave that there and I'll hand back to Eka.
Thank you, Clarice. And I think people keep asking because if the question can be easily responded immediately to the chat, I think the Katalis team is ready to give you some technical answer. Okay, getting back to our panelists here. Let's go for the second round of questions and answer. I'll go back to Ben because you are the training provider and you have already products ready that perhaps launch in Australia. I'm just wondering, when you are entering the Indonesian market, is there some technical features that you think that need to be adaptations in terms of usability? I don't know, perhaps you need to provide some translation support, or how the content is localized to the Indonesian context. Perhaps you can elaborate on that.
Thank you. Just need to find the unmute button. Yeah, I mean, obviously considerations like accessibility are always important, irrespective of whether you're delivering or designing training for the Australian market, for the Indonesian market, or for anywhere. So make accessibility as a given, universal design for learning as a minimum standard. I think it's going to be different for every program, but it really does. It just starts with listening, and it starts with trying to be as flexible and responsive as possible. I guess we can't always make concessions when it comes to course design and delivery, particularly when there are regulatory concerns, but we can try our darndest. I mean, to reinforce one of the main points that Han brought up maybe 10 minutes ago, online learning is a really, really awesome tool. Online learning is great because it means that we can provide exceptional education at scale, and we can provide learning to learners all around the world, without having the additional costs of time and travel and accommodation and all the complexity that comes with that. But I'm sure we're aware that online isn't without its compromises. So, I guess online learners in many cases might have lower levels of engagement. It might be more difficult to break through language barriers, or for a new teacher to build trust and rapport with their new class. So these are the sorts of things I guess we consider when we're designing a program, again, regardless of whether it's for delivery in Australia or for delivery overseas. Did you mention language? Language is another really interesting point. And I can see there would absolutely be scenarios where it might be appropriate to deliver training in Indonesian or in a mix of languages. Sometimes, of course, we run into those same regulatory roadblocks that I mentioned earlier. So certainly in the vocational education sector, there are some programs that we're unable to deliver in any language other than English. But that doesn't mean to say that we can't provide exceptional support to students in Indonesia using native Bahasa Indonesian speaking student support personnel. I think regardless of language, regardless of whether the courses are online or in person, I think we should always make any reasonable attempts to localize case studies, to localize scenarios, to make sure that we're telling stories. I think we all learn through stories, right? So to make sure that our courses have really compelling stories that just resonate with the students and resonate with the audience and make sense in the country or the place or the industry or the age group that the course is being delivered to. And we're currently delivering a course with Katalis and Binawan University and Living Well Senior Communities that does combine all of these factors. So we've got face-to-face training, we've got some local Indonesian language support, we've got online workshops and webinars, we've contextualized some of the course materials. So we're really curious to see what the outcomes of this program are. And I guess we've been really fortunate with some assistance from Katalis to be able to design sort of everyone's dream cross-national program. I guess we're looking forward to finding out more.
Yeah, so obviously adaptability is there, and the key is you will start listening. That's when Indonesian fellows, please start speaking up what you want and what you need, so they can customize according to the needs, right? Okay, the second round for the second panelist, Clarissa, I'll go back to you. I think we all heard about this concern on tech winter, but I think we can still agree that talent acquisition remains a challenge, right? Can you share from the industry perspective, what do you think the key skills are still high in demand for now and perhaps potentially in the near future? And how the business, or Blibli in this case, invested in the upskilling to meet these needs?
As you mentioned, as Indonesia's digital industry grows, there is a high demand for professionals with skills in AI, automation, and data analytics. These skills are no longer just for IT and engineers roles, but are now needed in all business areas, including customer experience, supply chains, and financial planning. At Blibli, this can be seen in our business process transformation team. So we have special team for this kind of roles and skills, which continues to grow and hire experts in AI, automation, and data analytics. This reflects the increasing need for technology-driven decision-making to make our business more efficient and smart. This kind of the fast pace of technology brings to main challenge for us, which is finding new talent with AI and automation skills to meet business needs and helping our current employees learn these technologies and stay ahead of industry's change. We do two key strategies in Blibli. One is about developing early talent, like aligning curriculum with industry needs, workshop and practical learning, something like that. And second is upskilling Blibli employees, on-demand learning and targeted training. We do something like that. We offer flexible AI, automation, and data training tailored to different job roles. And Kaizen competition, innovation, and efficiency. So we do some kind of program or activity that boosts their interest in this kind of things, like do the automation with the role or use AI at their function, something like that. Yeah.
So AI, automation, and data analytics are the three key skills that you foresee still in demand in the upcoming future. And I heard that these two strategy you mentioned earlier about early development of talent and upskilling employees. Would you like to share more about it? I mean, which one is more challenging, or is there any challenges for each and how to overcome?
Yeah, how they can improve or they upskill, they have the skill or habit that's more challenging. So we provide some kind of program or like competition, Kaizen competition, automation competition, so they more familiar with that kind of things, automation, how they can learn from their partner or their peers about how they use the automation tools in the office, or they got the coach to do their job with the automation or AI. Yeah, something like that. So they
Thank
can
you.
familiar with the things.
I see. Okay, thank you, Clarissa. We're getting back now to our third panelist, Han. When we look at the future outlook for work, number of things are visible. There are growing remote work, gig economy, green jobs, and also some government initiative. Like in Indonesia, we have Kartu Prakerja. It's getting more prominent, I think we can see from different countries. Also, there has been rising foreign investment driving the industrial growth. Having seen this, how do you think this can relate the Australian offer for the future of Indonesian market? For example, through this platform or any other means?
Yeah, thanks, Ika. I mean, broadly, I would say, Australia has a very deep and very long relationship with Indonesia on education, training, skills, and research, all of which are fundamental to the economic growth of Indonesia. I mean, Indonesia's such an important neighbor for us. Like at the moment, it's the 16th largest economy in the world, and by 2040 or 2045, it'll be projected to be the 5th largest economy in the world. So, the scale of and the size of Indonesia, it's really it's hard to imagine. And to underpin all of the economic growth, you really need human capital, and you really need innovation, and people is the bedrock of that. And education, of course, is a vehicle to drive that human capital development. Like I said, Australia's got a very deep relationship with Indonesia on these matters. We currently offer a range of development funding in relation to Indonesia's basic education as well as in the research space. But I think more pertinent to this conversation is our investment through higher education and vocational skills. In the higher education space over the last couple of years, Australia is really leading the way in terms of having our universities establishing a physical campus over here. And whilst their focus is largely around undergraduate and postgraduate programs in areas of I guess national priority for the Indonesian government, they also offer a range of shorter term skill-based training that can be customized to meet I guess the demand of the Indonesian market. But what we're talking about here today is really in that skills piece from the vocational sector. As I had outlined earlier, it's a very important part of Australia's economy, and we hope to play a role in, I guess, advancing the vocational, I guess, contribution to Indonesia's economic development. And I think, something like the Skills Exchange is such a great platform to enable that. I mean, it's a little step in the way, and there's many things and many steps to go, but I think this would be a great catalyst, pun intended, to drive some of this exchange. And I think a lot of times it's oftentimes the information vacuum. And I think what's great about the Skills Exchange is it provides a centralized point in which Indonesian businesses can identify the supply from Australia, and then Australian vocational providers can get a sense of the demand from the Indonesian side. So from an Australian government's perspective, we really we really ride behind this skills exchange along with the other work, other great work Catalyst is doing in the vocational space. So yeah, it's really exciting to be part of this conversation and to see, 50 plus Australian providers and hundreds of Indonesian businesses on this platform. It's a remarkable achievement.
Thank you, Han. Yeah, I think this is very much like a good concluding for our session today, that the platform is a tool, right? It's created to enable and to catalyst the growth or the relationship that and the potential between Indonesia and Australia that already there. So please, people, make use of this tool to the best of everybody. And with this, I think we have reached our end of panel discussion. If there is no more questions so far, also in the Q&A. Great. So we have a good concluding remarks from Han. Bapak Ibu fellow participant of this webinar, we have heard from our panel of speakers about the major transformation that is going on in Indonesia, driven by digitalization and changing industry demands. We have to ensure that we are ready as a workforce for whatever the future brings. Like Ibu Carissa said, AI, automation, and data analytics are among the top three. So closing the skill gap, addressing education incompatibilities, and adapting to technological innovation is a must. Thank you to our panelists once again, and to audience who has tuning in and participate in the discussion. Have a good day. Back to you, our MC, John and Dara.
Thanks, Bu Eka. Before we wrap things up, I want to thank a special guest from the audience, the Indonesian Ambassador to Australia, His Excellency Dr. Siswa Pramono. Pak Siswa, thanks for all the support. Thanks also to our panelists and moderator for sharing your insights. And thanks to everyone in the audience for listening and providing your commentary.
And as mentioned earlier, today's event is being recorded and will be posted on YouTube with a link provided on the Katalis website and in our social media.
Take care, everyone, and we look forward to welcoming you at the Indonesia-Australia Skills Exchange, IA-CEPA.org.
And that's a wrap up of the launch of Indonesia Skills Exchange platform. Thank you. That's a wrap.
Thanks, Dara.
Yeah.
Masih 1 jam lagi. Saatnya kembangkan karir. Seru juga ya kalau bisa ngembangin karir. Tapi kok Indonesia-Australia Skills Exchange? Dengan Indonesia-Australia Skills Exchange, saatnya tumbuh bersama. Indonesia-Australia Skills Exchange membantu dunia usaha Indonesia menyediakan berbagai pelatihan berkualitas. Industri di Indonesia akan terhubung langsung dengan lembaga pendidikan Australia. Indonesia-Australia Skills Exchange.
Did you know that more than 23 million Indonesians live with disability? So, if you are designing a course for an Indonesian company, you need to keep disability inclusion in mind. Training that is accessible makes sure that everyone can access the same information and opportunities. It also means courses work for more people, meaning more reach and more satisfied clients. So, here are some practical tips. Use clear and concise language at all times. For non-text content, make sure you provide alternatives. This includes alt text for screen reading software so people know what is on the screen. You can also use audio descriptions for visual content to help people who are blind or have low vision. All videos should have both captions and transcripts. These benefit all students, including those who are deaf or speak a different language. Website navigation should be adjustable for different user needs. This includes allowing users to change font size, font styles, and colour. All course materials should be organised logically with clear headings and consistent navigation so students can easily find and access content. Content should be able to be accessed with just a keyboard without needing a mouse. You may consider offering content in multiple formats to accommodate different needs and learning styles. Discussion forums and chats should also be made accessible to individuals with disabilities. Test your course content to make sure it is accessible. This includes making sure it is compatible with screen readers. Finally, encourage students to provide feedback on accessibility of your courses and make changes if needed. Small changes can make your courses accessible for everyone, giving your courses reach across Indonesia. Disability inclusion matters.
Zaman sekarang belajar cukup pakai jari loh.
Maksudnya?
Iya, tinggal searching kursus online aja di internet.
Tapi aku mau yang terpercaya dari Australia. Aussie, Down Under, idaman aku itu.
Pas banget, ada loh di Traveloka Experience. Tinggal pilih sesuai minat kamu, semuanya akan ada di Traveloka Experience.
Wah, udah paling bener nih.
Setelah pelatihan, kamu juga akan mendapatkan digital page dari lembaga-lembaga Australia yang bermitra dengan Traveloka.
Dengan dukungan Katalis, meningkatkan keterampilan tidak lagi kenal batas.
Gimana? Udah nemu yang pas belum?
Pas dan tanpa batas.
What is greatness?
It's doing what makes you feel proud. What feels right for right now. You define your greatness.
My name is Dan Gray and I'm from TAFE Queensland, and I've flown up here to Surabaya here at the Saputra University to run a digital literacy course. So in the digital literacy course, we are going to be covering a range of topics, including basically digital security, digital ethics, digital marketing and onboarding, as well as a few other topics.
Ya, hari ini sangat seru banget sih.
Kemarin lihat kontennya luar biasa.
Kita bisa berbincang dengan bahasa Inggris, jadi melatih juga kita buat belajar bahasa Inggris lebih.
Ini merupakan suatu ajang yang bagus buat kami untuk bisa berjejaring.
By the end of the course, we hope that the students will really get a better understanding of the tools that are available to them and how to use them safely.
Menyala Abang Den.
So today we actually have the opening of the digital literacy training done by Katalis and Katalis partner TAFE Queensland and Traveloka and Universitas Ciputra.
Kita mengadakan digital literacy yang memberikan pengetahuan, keterampilan dan juga wawasan tentang keterampilan digital yang dibutuhkan di dalam pengembangan dunia pariwisata, khususnya di Jawa Timur.
And we also hope that there's a kind of engaging interaction whereby audiences or the training participant can share a candid issues in tourism industry, mostly in digital era, and we hope to have a kind of mutual solution and contribution and positive feedback after the program ends.
Menurut saya sudah tidak bisa dipungkiri lagi ya, Australia termasuk salah satu training provider yang terbaik di dunia. Harapan kami ya tetap berlanjut training tersebut, lebih ditingkatkan kualitas dan kuantitasnya.
The Katalis activity with Living Well Seniors Communities provides us a fantastic opportunity to connect Indonesian nurses with Australian registered training organisations and skill up those Indonesian nurses as personal care attendants specialising in aged care based on an Australian standard.
We look forward to Living Well Seniors Communities providing both services here in Indonesia to meet Australian standards, but vice versa. We look forward to the opportunity of training up, skilling up Indonesian care workers and enabling them to enter the Australian workforce to assist aged care operators and to ease some of those staffing issues which currently exist.
Masih 1 jam lagi.
Pina. Ya, Bu.
Aha, saatnya Saatnya kembangkan karir. Seru juga ya kalau bisa ngembangin karir. Tapi kok... Indonesia-Australia Skills Exchange. Dengan Indonesia-Australia Skills Exchange, saatnya tumbuh bersama. Indonesia-Australia Skills Exchange membantu dunia usaha Indonesia menyediakan berbagai pelatihan berkualitas. Industri di Indonesia akan terhubung langsung dengan lembaga pendidikan Australia. Indonesia-Australia Skills Exchange.
Did you know that more than 23 million Indonesians live with disability? So, if you are designing a course for an Indonesian company, you need to keep disability inclusion in mind. Training that is accessible makes sure that everyone can access the same information and opportunities. It also means courses work for more people, meaning more reach and more satisfied clients. So, here are some practical tips. Use clear and concise language at all times. For non-text content, make sure you provide alternatives. This includes alt text for screen reading software so people know what is on the screen. You can also use audio descriptions for visual content to help people who are blind or have low vision. All videos should have both captions and transcripts. These benefit all students, including those who are deaf or speak a different language. Website navigation should be adjustable for different user needs. This includes allowing users to change font size, font styles, and colour. All course materials should be organised logically with clear headings and consistent navigation so students can easily find and access content. Content should be able to be accessed with just a keyboard without needing a mouse. You may consider offering content in multiple formats to accommodate different needs and learning styles. Discussion forums and chats should also be made accessible to individuals with disabilities. Test your course content to make sure it is accessible. This includes making sure it is compatible with screen readers. Finally, encourage students to provide feedback on accessibility of your courses and make changes if needed. Small changes can make your courses accessible for everyone, giving your courses reach across Indonesia. Disability inclusion matters.